Hello, everybody. Welcome to another daily dose of gaming news and all that good stuff. And as always, I also publish on Rumble and on Patreon for extra support. Any kind of news and updates, usually I go about on Twitter X. I did manage to yesterday publish a Midnight Suns episode, and tomorrow there will be another one. I'm still trying to get around and playing a little bit, a couple of more demos that I'm interested in trying out to see if the game seems good or not. And just a reminder that I already have completed gameplay series here on the main page of the channel, everything organized in playlists. So let's try to keep it short as possible. We continue to having some leaks here and there regarding NVIDIA RTX 50 series or 5000 series. And similarly, ZOTAC leaked. It's not kind of not a leak. That I think they mismanaged the database there. I think this has to do with pre-order stuff here on the site, but the main gist is that basically the variants so far they might be working on, they are leaked here. Again, take it with a grain of salt, because this might be kind of a placeholder, at least from the information they might have from NVIDIA. But the fact is, at least they, as placeholders, we might see kind of a confirmation bias regarding some of these specs of the GPUs here. There is so far no 5060 information, which is interesting by itself, even though, again, it seems that, again, I think this is more applicable to the high-end GPUs, the GDDR7 memory stuff. And again, it seems that the 5090 and 5090D might have around 32 gigabytes of GDDR7 at 512 bits in terms of the thing in terms of memory, sorry, the speeds and the such. CUDA cores is still here as a placeholder, at least that's my expectation. Yeah, a 5080 supposedly still only 16 gigabytes so far, it seems. The only thing is that there's supposedly going to be the 5060 Ti with 16 gigabytes of VRAM and the 5060 with only 8 gigabytes. Again, take it with a grain of salt. Supposedly all of them are listed here at GDDR7. I will assume they try maybe to keep it cheaper as possible. Probably they're going to put this 5070 and below, maybe GDDR6X or something like that. I'm not sure. And I will assume, if this is true regarding the 5060 Ti and the 5060, the difference between 8 and 16 gigabytes, I think they are going to to do again the clamshell design in terms of adding memory, which by itself doesn't improve the memory speeds. It's only basically adds up. But it is a more expensive manufacturing process of adding memory, instead of trying to work around the board design of supporting the more memory without this clamshell design. Again, it's basically what happened with the 4060 Ti 8 and 16 gigabytes of VRAM. They basically doubled because they basically, on the other side of the board, they glue another memory thingy to add up just more memory. Again, this is a lot of placeholder. I really hope they don't make the mistake of putting the 5060 with 8 gigabytes of VRAM. I think they should have learned the lesson at least a couple of generations ago. And also it adds up, by the price they are selling the GPUs, I think it adds up a little bit more value. If they are starting at least 10 to 12 gigabytes of RAM, I think it's pretty achievable and maintaining kind of the same pricing. But yeah, it's NVIDIA. Cannot expect that they give a lot of stuff here in terms of value for the consumer. But yeah, so far, this is the latest one. Again, supposedly 6th January, there's going to be the keynote from Wang, Jason, and NVIDIA CEO. I always forget his name. Yeah, it's not, I don't see it here. But yeah, 6th January is going to be the keynote. We'll have to assume there's going to have some presentation of the lineup, or at least a high end of the lineup of the 50 series from NVIDIA. But yeah, till then, for sure we'll see a couple more leaks here and there, but I don't think until we get at least the official announcement in terms of the specs and the such. I will have to assume everything is like a placeholder, given that by the fact that again, usually even especially on prices, some AIBs only know almost like in the eve of the launch of the card. So yeah, in terms of MSRPs and the such, but yeah, I'll try to keep it up. If something interesting pops up, I will let you know. In terms of games, we got a little bit more details in terms of Elden Ring sales. Similarly, at least since the DLC was launched, we got 3.6 million additional sales, which brings us up around almost 29 million, or at least 28.6 million copies sold. And this includes both standalone sales, physical and digital, and copies bundled with the Game Award Edition and its DLC. So everything that Elden Ring sold basically adds up to around this number. Interestingly enough, to put in perspective, before Elden Ring launch, the entire Dark Souls franchise had sold around 28 or 27 million copies. It's around almost 40 million, which means that the fact that Elden Ring came out, it also pushed the sales or boosted the sales of the trilogy of Dark Souls there. Good to see that again, almost 30 million copies sold. I think by the end of by the next year, probably even after the launch of Night Rain, we'll see a little bit more boost in sales of Elden Ring. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I'm pretty excited for Elden Ring Night Rain, at least to try out a different aspect of the combat there, and the fact that it's a co-op PvE. Without any kind of shenanigans of microtransactions. I think it might be a good experience for them, at least to try out different things and see what sticks with them for the next games that they are going to launch. I think it's good to experiment, the same way that they did to a certain degree with Armored Core 6. I will assume that they learned a lot of stuff by making that game. And might be applicable, I don't know, in terms of systems or even engine optimizations and inclusion of certain things, might be something that improve upcoming releases. Then we got here, I missed this one, Monster Hunter Wilds. They got a Welcome to Monster Hunter trailer. It's around 10 minutes. It's voiced by Daisy Ridley. Daisy Ridley. Very interesting. It basically tries to put in context of the lore and story of very broad strokes of what Monster Hunter world is all about. And yeah, it's very interesting. 10 minutes, it breezes through. And yeah, I enjoyed it. At least for they are focusing a little bit with this upcoming Monster Hunter Wilds. Try to for people that want to engage on this with this game and the IP itself. They are launching pretty good videos here to introduce people to the lore, the world itself, the hunter. What is the hunter? What's the role of the hunter? The ecosystems they're going to encounter. What's the role there in terms of story-wise and world building? I think they are doing a good job there. So I really do recommend, if you're like me, a little bit blind on the IP. I never played any Monster Hunter game except for Monster Hunter Wilds, the beta stuff there. I really enjoy checking this and having a better awareness of what the game is and the world is all about there. Then again, I heard this from Endymion. I made a reference here in the middle of the article. They pull out this around September from YouTuber Endymion. That it seems that we might see some shenanigans happening, and especially in these bigger dev studios. We got a mention that supposedly, this is a rumor. Again, take it with a grain of salt, but I don't get surprised of this kind of rumors popping out, because to a certain degree it makes sense for this acronym mafia people. That supposedly the current build of Mass Effect 5 features pronounced selection, and also they're basically supposedly are all hands on deck, trying to delay features and art that might be deemed woke or political. It's not they didn't use that specific wording. The specific wording that they used was inclusive content. So supposedly the Q&A people have a mandate to check if there is something that might be a red flag for normal gamers or the customers, and I think they are pulling back that from Mass Effect. And there is, let's say, a theory or a proposition that these inclusive content things might be added after the game is launched. So, let's say in the first couple of months of initial boost sales, usually it's when the game sells the most, they might introduce those inclusive content things or mechanics or these customizations like armor, rainbow flag armor and rainbow bullets and whatever they usually do might be introduced in a patch or something like that after the fact of people buying the game. And that might lead to the fact that people, again, after a couple of months of playing the game, and all of a sudden the game is updated and you have all rainbow flags and pronouns and pull a barf all over the place when we interact with characters. It's too late to return the game. But again, even I'm not sure how this might be something that might go against like terms of sale, especially on Steam platform. Um, because if you alter a product to the point and to a certain extent, I don't know how that can be legally interpreted as deceiving practices of selling a product. So basically, it's like the same thing that you sell a car with a full pack of extras, and then after 6 months, you automatically, I don't know, remove the extras. And again, I don't know how this can be applied to games, but the fact again, if they sold something separately that have the inclusion of those inclusive content things, it's one thing, but it's something that when you buy the product has certain features and certain things, and after they bring a patch that to a certain degree alters certain things on the game to the point that it's not the same thing when it was sold. Because we know patches usually it's to resolve bug fixes, crashes, optimizations. So usually you don't see anything in the sense that is altering too much the game itself as a product. But yeah, usually we have added content. For example, we had, but usually this is announced before the sale of the product. Like for example, The Witcher 3, we had that they had a kind of a roadmap of free content they were delivering throughout after the launch of the game, but that was announced previous to the launch, if not mistaken. We got also some games, for example, we got Black Myth Wukong that had like a map stuff, which to a certain degree can alter a little bit how it is played the game, because then you have a map to navigate throughout the levels. But then again, that was a feature that was hugely requested by players. Again, I don't know if these companies, and especially on the publishing side, if they make the decision, for example, let's say Mass Effect 5 comes without what we might call woke content or inclusive content or modern audiences content. When it launches, and after a couple of months, they decided, oh, we're going to do a patch out of nowhere, and they just put everything that might alter the content of the game, or at least can be considered legally altering the content to the point that it was not the same product that was sold at the time of the launch of the game. I don't know if it makes sense to you, but yeah, I don't know how much they can do this, but at least it seems to be. Given all these rumors from usually comes more from Q&A devs, because usually they are third-party contractors. So in terms of leaks, I think it's a little bit easier for them not be identified, by the fact that they are not inserted directly inside the studio. So I think they will feel that have more freedom to speak out. But yeah, it's interesting to see that it's not the first time. We saw this from September. Endymion basically referenced that they are trying to do this, alter the content of the game itself. Again, it's even after it's launched. Again, you can block to a certain degree when you give key products for review that you should not mention this or that, or avoid mention this or that inside of the game. But then when the game is launched full release, everybody can see by themselves. But altering something after the initial launch to a certain way that it's not basically the thing that you promised there. I don't know, in terms of legal issues that we might encounter. But yeah, we already know Bioware is launched the Dragon Age Veil Guards. Nobody's very confident on Mass Effect 5 already, and other studios that are under Microsoft umbrella. Nobody is trusting blindly on them and what they even market on their games there. But yeah, interesting to see this. And then lastly, might delve a little bit here in terms of supposedly there is an alleged leak regarding the plot of Naughty Dog's Intergalactic The Heretic Prophet. Again, a lot of stuff doesn't make a lot of sense, even though it's believable. We have the proof in the pudding regarding The Last of Us Part 2. But it seems that the leakers sent this, including to Jason Schreier, but he didn't talk about it yet. I'm assuming because he's cozy with Naughty Dog. Neil Druckmann, I think, is reticent in covering this leak. But again, this was leaked regardless on 4chan, supposedly by the same person that leaked this to Jason Schreier. But then again, take it with a huge grain of salt. But it's not kind of the first time that something this happens with Naughty Dog. We got the plot leak of The Last of Us Part 2. I don't know how long before the launch, at least a couple of months, I think. And yeah, this doesn't seem good, the story. So let's see how this goes. The player character Jordan, supposedly is a member of the Five Aces, disappears on the trailer. A little photo with all five aces, supposedly, which is like a bandit squad, let's say. And the leader Lewis disappeared without a trace, causing the five to drift apart. And then the reason that she shaves the hair, again, it doesn't attract any kind of attention. But yeah, the reason for Judge and Shavehead, the absurd reaction to which Naughty Dog fully expected, is to serve the hiding of her identity, as she is a wanted criminal. Yeah, again, I'm taking this as being true, so my commentary and opinions are going taking by the sake of the argument, take this leak as true. Yeah, it doesn't surprise that, again, this doesn't bring any attention. You see a woman with a shaved head just to disguise her identity, but whatever. And then supposedly Jordan works as a bounty hunter purely as a means to find her former partners, particularly Lewis, who she sees as a father figure. Again, if she's a wanted criminal, how do you get around in being a bounty hunter? I don't know how you can explain that. Supposedly, usually bounty hunters are persons that work with authorities. Don't the authorities know that she's a wanted criminal, given that they are a band of notorious criminals? So that's some inconsistency there. Supposedly in the game, the tutorial and opening mission is Semperia Moon. Again, interesting choice of words for Semperia Moons. And reminds me, again, might be because I'm not, my mother tongue is not English, but again, Semperia, Simp, I don't know if it recalls anything, but it's when I heard it, when I read it the first time, I didn't even notice. But after listening to some videos regarding these leaks, the Simp and Semperia how it sounds very familiar and very similar. Sorry, but yeah, the tutorial mission, supposedly it's leading Jordan. I think it's from the trailer. She wants to chase Colin, which is the guy Kumal Numyanchi or whatever it's called, the actor. Again, an important note from the leaks that there is no space combat, which is whatever, because I think that basically the events of the entirety of the game happens in Semperia, Semperia's moon. And as they fly into Superior's atmosphere, an EMP wave disables both ships, leading them to crash in different locations. And basically, bulk of the game is described as open world, uncharted, mixed with sci-fi elements. There supposedly is melee range and even vehicle combat. The base of operations in the game is your crash ship, which can be customized. I don't know why you want to customize a crash ship, but whatever, I can understand as a base of operations because you're on a foreign planet or an alien planet. But customized crash ship, I don't know what value can it bring. As you find each member of your old crew, they will join on the ship in your search for Lewis. The gist of the plot is that Lewis sent a message to all members of the five, excluding Jordan, to meet him on a planet. They were specifically instructed to come alone. And then once all three members of the crew joins you, again, besides Lewis, because he's the main attention thing here for the main character, the game takes a hard turn. An underground dwelling race of aliens known as Semperians, again, the same thing, Semperians, aliens, I don't know, kidnap Jordan, teammates, the ship with all its decoration and customization destroyed, inspired by Mass Effect 2 Collector's Event. I don't remember very well what this event is, but yeah, you can see where this is going. The Semperians resemble humans with some notable differences, including ability to sprout large insect legs that allow them to scale walls, as well night vision. Again, okay. With more of survival horror shift. So that's the point when it turns things. You make your way through underground tunnels to try and save your crew. I think this will not take a long time to do. I will assume, given it's just going through underground tunnels, eventually reach where they are held, ready to reveal Lewis is preparing to execute them in front of a horde of angry Semperians. Jordan interrupts, begging to know why. Lewis explained the big twist of the game, that the Semperians, once humans, were teleported to the planet thousands of years ago as a side effect of a quantum experimentation needed to develop distant space-faring technology. Again, a lot of very convoluted, but okay. When Lewis crashed on a planet, he found himself empathizing with their race, promising to help support their desire to return to Earth. Desire to return to Earth, which again, there is a note here. Druckmann apparently I read Heart of Darkness, which inspired this plot point. Okay, whatever. And then the Semperian religion, founded by the Heretic prophet, stated generation upon generations will suffer until a Messiah arrive to lead Semperians to their ancestral home, where they will reclaim the land and purge its inhabitants. Just great. Supposedly the AI software, I think a lot of the enemies are basically robots with AI. Basically, all of those robots and the AI software was constructed over thousands of years to assist in invading Earth. However, that technology needed for a ship to pierce Imperius atmosphere without being disabled by its unique qualities could not be figured out. I guess they are not their advance of a civilization or race. And then basically continue with the plot thing. Jordan is forced to watch as each of her companions are shot in the head by Lewis. She begs to know why he's doing, and basically Lewis informs her that she was never meant to be there. It's why he didn't call her to come. He was using his former partner's presence as a means to an end. Again, the end is not very well explained, even though the end supposedly is for them to get out of the planet, but what human sacrifices serve to, and given that any ship that goes into the Semperian moon crashes and cannot leave out, how killing people will serve to get out of the planet. Again, this is why take it with a huge grain of salt. And basically, Lewis has affection for Jordan, so he orders the appearance to detain her while they fight Galactipol. So I will assume, in the meantime, Galactipol appears and they have a fight, but supposedly Galactipol ships don't fall off to the Semperius moon. And how they are going to fight the ships if they are bound, grounded in the Earth? I don't know, cannons. I don't know, something like that. Supposedly Jordan escapes in the final act as the player tear through a war zone between the two sides, ultimately resulting in Jordan chasing Lewis down and killing him as he operates a huge tank. Lewis' dying words are to ask Jordan to continue his work and the Superiors deserve to see their home again. Okay, that's his opinion, man. And then after the player has the choice to use the tank to destroy Imperial robots, leaving them defenseless to be slaughtered by Galactipol, or destroy Galactipol ships. After either choice is made, you find Lewis' old ship and fly into space. The ending depending on which choice you are made. Again, the fact that you fly out of the space, how you're going to fly out of the space, it's interesting. Does Galactipol ships have something that can like immune to the Semperium moon EMP thingy? Again, this is not explained. Supposedly, you can Deus Ex Machina fly into space and leave a cliffhanger of you for the next game. Supposedly, again, this is basically the leak. Again, I don't think this is the totality of the I think something a lot of stuff was made up to a certain degree because that doesn't make any logic sense. But then again, we have Naughty Dog and their Neil Druckmann, given that he is going to be the director of the game, and I think also the script writer. Um, Again, I'm not surprised if he comes up with this kind of convoluted plot and no logic sense in certain things, like in the most basic things. If this it seems to be true, the same way that, for example, in a post-apocalyptic society, I don't see the reason why when you have certain villages, outposts that are surviving, are focused more on how to identify themselves, or how they are more worried on having muscles and having enough resources to build up muscles as Abby does, and are focused on that. And other certain things, plus all the plot holes and the way they could have turned at least Last of Us Part 2. Again, to a certain extent, I can understand the overall direction and the overall film they were trying to approach in that game, which is revenge and the toll that it takes on people. But the execution was very flawed, and I think at the time Anita Sarkeesian did manage to simp out Neil Druckmann to introduce certain things there, as the brave and bold female protagonist. But yeah, other than that, I'm not surprised this will come true in the final shape of the game. We know that on the trailer itself on Naughty Dog channel, they have disabled comments. On Sony, you don't. There is already a huge amount of dislike. They basically been ratioed in all the trailers. But yeah, very interesting, this leak. Again, alleged leak, because again we don't know for sure. Only after the game will come out, we'll have a confirmation or not if this it was really going to be the plot thread throughout the game. But yeah, I don't see any revolutionary thing. Again, I think Neil Druckmann is a self-entitled or self-entitled writer and game director. They did a pretty good job on the Uncharted series. The Last of Us Part 1 was excellent in terms of a plot and how the story of the game goes, but I think it has to do a lot with Amy. I forgot her second name, Amy, but she, in the meantime, she left. She went for EA. I think she was working on a Star Wars game on EA in this studio. I don't remember which studio, but that was canceled. But yeah, the lady Amy, and completely forgot her surname. I'm sorry about that. I think she one of the main writers of The Last of Us Part One, if not mistaken, and she had a huge influence on Uncharted series, if not mistaken. But yeah, Neil Druckmann, I think the co-founder of Naughty Dog, the other guy that I completely forgot his name, also left the studio. I think Neil Druckmann um, is the only CEO or game director there. But yeah, we got that happening there. But yeah, I will wrap up with some game deals. We got Control Ultimate Edition. I already played this game, pretty good, especially at this price point. The Ultimate Edition has the 2 DLCs, complements a little bit more the connected universe there. We got Tomb Raider, definitely Survivor Trilogy, pretty good. I think around $10 or so. The free games, got the editions. We got also Dead Space remake. Again, at this price point, I can't recommend here. The only nitpick regarding the game is the fact that it got some transversal stuttering here and there on the loading parts. But other than that, it's a pretty good game. Got The Witcher 3. Again, the way to go is the complete edition. Got the 2 DLCs there. We got also Resident Evil franchise. I will leave a link on all the games there so you can choose and pick to complete your collection. Then we got Nier Replicant, 60% off, and then Nier Automata, Yorih edition, 60% off also. Got also Cyberpunk. The Ultimate Edition seems the way to go, and it's 48% off. We got also Liza P, 40% off on the base game. I think the DLC will be launched soon. And then lastly, we got Pacific Drive, 40% off on the base game. But yeah, I will wrap up this episode with a plug on my Patreon for access support. The access support is more in line for me to be able to get around a better storage solution so I can have backups for the stuff that I do for my clients. And of course, some extra space for the videos that I do for the channel. And with all that said, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. So until then, Kunamy Master out.